Dear audience, hello and welcome back in this tutorial. This is part 3 of the series of videos titled Hazards, Risks and Issues in Electrical Installations. Today in this part 3, we'll talk into more details in the topic of risk, and we'll concentrate more on the risks related to the electrical installations in construction projects. Actually, I'll not go into the deep details of risk topic. I'll cover the most important details or the most important topics related to the risk topic. So I want to remind you that risk analysis and risk management is a key project management practice that will help us ensure that the least number of surprises occur while our project is underway. So we try as much as we can, based on the knowledge we have about the hazards identified, to identify the risks related to those hazards that we have identified. So consequently, as I mentioned before, that we will try to identify a list of risks related to those hazards. So this is something in the future, something to anticipate. So it's not an easy job, but still we have to do it, and we have as much as we can based on the knowledge we have from the hazard assessment and hazard identification, and from the lessons learned from previous or similar projects, to predict some of the uncertainties in the project and try to minimize the occurrence or impact. Sometimes we call it the likelihood or the impact or the consequences of these uncertainties. So we're talking about something we call sometimes in the project management the seen unseen. Certainly this would improve the chance of a project being successful towards the completion, and reduces the consequences of those risks identified. I'll start with this risk management framework, some guidelines we have to have for the risk management. The first point is the continuous risk identification. So I want to make sure that you know that the risk identification process is a continuous process that starts basically from the initiation phase of the project, gets more elaborated towards the planning phase, improved more when we go into the construction phase, and then when more towards the control or monitoring and control phase, and even towards the closure. Still we continue on doing this risk identification. But most of the risk identification is basically done during the planning phase. When I say construction phase here, I mean the execution phase, but still we're talking about construction projects. Okay, so it's the execution phase. So after identifying different types of risks, and sometimes even categorizing these different types of risks into different categories, like technical risks, like management types of risks, like electrical risks, like mechanical risks. I mean, different types of categorization might be there. So it depends on the type of the project, the complexity of the project, or the experience of the project manager and the project team, expert judgment. But then the second job that we have to do is go into what we call risk evaluation. And here we basically try to identify two main topics or two main issues: the probability of the occurrence of risk, or the likelihood that the risk would happen, and then the impact or the severity or the consequences of the risk if the risk really happens. Okay, and then based on this probability and impact, and by simply multiplying the two values of probability and impact, we get this risk score, and based on this score we can again prioritize the risk and have different levels of priorities, as we will see later in this video. Then we'll move into what we call the risk mitigation and contingency measure definitions, how to respond to the risk so that we be able to mitigate the impact of the risk or the risk score. So basically we start with what we call inherent risk. Then we have to respond to the risk or take some control measures. During this risk mitigation and control, we try to minimize the risk score. Still, we most probably will not go to zero level, and that's why we still have some what we call residual risk. Some risk has to, level of risk will still be there. This is what we call a residual risk. So this risk monitoring and control based on the mitigation strategies, and we have to define what we call a risk owner. We'll see this later. And then we have what we call risk identification efficiency measurement, how to efficiently measure the risk. This brings us back to this probability and impact and score issue, and this have to go into a cycle. Because the probability and impact of the risk would differ based on the control measures we take, and also different EEFs or enterprise environmental factors affecting the project. So some examples of electrical risks. Mainly I'm concentrating here on electrical risks in construction projects. So first risk we'll talk about is the power outages. Okay, this sometimes happens in projects. So when we evaluate the probability, we might say that the probability is somehow medium. Here we'll try to be more quantitative and use numbers. Sometimes people prefer to be quantitative, so I've included both, but I have defined here medium as to be something around 3. 1 and 2 would be low, 4 and 5 would be for high. Okay, so 3 is a medium. This is the probability. Then the impact is high, so we give it this number 5. Okay, rating. How to evaluate this number? Define the probability and impact. This depends on the experience of the project manager and how he discusses this with the project team. Maybe some expert judgment, opinion, or feedback is also taken. Previous knowledge or lessons learned from previous or similar projects. Okay, this would help us define these ratings. So anyway, here we have this probability and impact being 3 and 5 consecutive. In consequence in this sequence. Consequently, we'll have this score of 15 just simply by multiplying 3 by 5 to get 15. Again, we will see later that this risk score also will have it into different categories, also low, high, and medium. We'll see this later. Then the response strategy, how to respond to this type of risk. Here, simply by implementing backup power source such as generators or UPS, uninterruptible power supplies. So this would be helpful. This would minimize the impact of the risk. Also, will also change the risk score. Who's the risk owner? Risk owner is someone who's responsible about watching this risk and taking care about this risk. This is the risk owner. Here we assume that the electrical engineer or project manager, either of them. So this also depends on the choice of the project manager and the project team, how to assign someone to be a risk owner. Then the second risk would be electrocution, and we define the probability as low or 2, the impact as being high, or give it 6. So this score would be 12. So this is somehow high impact. Certainly because it might lead to fatalities or death. The response strategy would be to ensure strict adherence to safety protocols, provide proper training to workers. This we mentioned in the first and second lecture also, and implement safety barriers. Risk owner would be the health and safety officer or the HSE officer. A third risk might be the fire hazards, the hazards leading to fire. Okay, probability would be medium, so we give it 3. Impact is a bit high or high, so 5. The score would be 15. And then response strategy that we can take is by regular inspection of wiring systems, installation of fire-resistant materials, and implementation of fire suppression systems. The risk owner would be the fire safety engineer, or simply might be the HSE officer again. The voltage fluctuation, the probability is towards high, so we give it 4. Then the impact medium, so the score is 12. And the response strategy will be to install voltage regulators and surge protectors, conduct regular maintenance of electrical equipment to stop or prevent any voltage fluctuations. The risk owner would be the electrical engineer, discipline engineer. Incorrect wiring is the 5th risk. The probability is medium, so we give it 3. Impact is high, so we give it 4. Score would be something like 12. And then the response strategy would be to ensure qualified electricians conduct installations, so training of our staff or the technicians. And then we perform rigorous inspections during and after installation to make sure that we have performed or executed the correct type of wiring. The risk owner will be the quality control manager. Then material shortages. So this is something managerial here. Probability is low, so we give it 2. The impact is medium, so we give it 4. The score will be 8. And the response strategy would be to maintain adequate inventory levels, establish relationships with multiple suppliers. The risk owner will be the procurement manager. Weather conditions, the probability of bad or affecting weather conditions like rain or dust or something like this will be medium. The impact again is medium. The score would be 9. The response strategy will be to implement weatherproofing measures, schedule outdoor work during favorable weather conditions. I want to remind you that when you talk about weather conditions, it depends on the type of activity. So here we are assessing the risk related to weather. On the electrical installations, it might be more severe, like if we are having some civil work, the impact might be very high. So we have to be very cautious that this impact depends on the type of activity, and the probability would, in such cases, when we talk about weather conditions, would depend on the season or the day of the year. The risk owner will be the site manager. He's responsible to follow up with this type of risk. And then the 8th type of risk is the regulatory compliance issues. This is managerial type of risk again, so the probability is medium, 3, but the impact is high, 4, score is 12. The response strategy will be to stay updated with relevant regulations, conduct regular audits to ensure compliance, and the risk owner would be the compliance officer. Or anyone related to such type, like the quality officer might also do the job, but it depends on what the project manager and project team would decide. Design errors, which are rare, so the probability is low, give it 2, but the impact certainly is high. If we have something wrong with the design, then we'll suffer a lot. So this is very bad, but it's improbable, or very low likelihood. The response strategy will be to thoroughly review designs before implementation, involve experienced engineers in the design phase, or employ efficient and well-known designer or consultant. The risk owner would be the design engineer or the technical office. Someone, from the technical office, like the discipline engineer, electrical design engineer in the technical office. Then last risk that we'll discuss in this video would be the delay in material delivery. Probability is medium, so we give it 3. Impact is also medium, so we give it 3. Score is 9. The response strategy would be to maintain communication with suppliers, have alternative suppliers in place, and adjust project schedule accordingly. So we might go into readjustment of the schedule baseline. The risk owner will be the procurement manager. So you can see that we have discussed a list of risks. These are not all the risks related to electrical installation in construction projects. These are just very few samples of them. Okay, because to identify all of the risks related to the electrical installations work or activities in projects or construction projects would vary depending on the type of project, the complexity of the project, and all other different factors, EAFs, related to the organization. Here we would have what we call the risk register. It's simply just the collection of all what we have been talking about, just all identified risks in this column. Then simply the probability of all the risks as we have seen before, the impact, and then the score. Here I just want to stop with the score. As you can see that we have assigned some colors, like any risk score below 8 we'll consider to be low, so we just assign this green color. Any value above 8 for the score but below 15 we'll consider to be medium, so all these numbers, okay, more than 8 but less than 15 will be with this yellowish or orange color. Okay, so this would tell us that these are medium types of risk, but then those in red would be we have to pay attention to these, close attention. Certainly we have to take care of all the risks, but these we have to monitor them closely. One thing we might also do is to do prioritization, like we can prioritize all these risks depending on their risk score and watch closely the top rated risks with the highest scores. But still we have to also monitor all other types of risks. Here we have the response strategy and the risk owner. Some other things might be added, but I don't want to go into those details. I think this would be enough, at least as a beginning, for you to know about the risk and how to deal with the risk. The last thing I want to talk about is this risk matrix, in which we have this how to get these numbers. We have to just have risk probability like this and risk impact or severity like this, and then we just simply multiply. We have a rating, like for example between 1 and 5, and here 1 and 5. But, I mean, sometimes you can go even beyond 5 and sometimes even less than 5. It also again depends, but here I've chosen to have here 1 to 5 and here 1 to 5, and simply multiply this by this, you get this. Like for example, if you have this for this activity, like this activity with a probability of 4 and impact of 2, then the score will be 8. And again, all less than 8 will be in green, and then between 9 and 15, excluding 15, this would be a medium type of risk with this orange color, and other high risks with a score of 15 or more, then we'll assign a red color for them. This is a typical type of risk matrix, and here I just made it look more quantitative. Sometimes people would have what they call quantitative type of risk matrix, but I prefer to be more quantitative, so I chose to have this type of risk matrix. So in conclusion, we can say that it's essential and important to regularly review and update the risk register, and certainly this will affect the risk score and the risk matrix, and this will go on throughout the project life cycle to ensure that new risks are identified and managed effectively, and to make sure that the risk levels are within the acceptable rate, and we are closely monitoring them and taking action as planned. Additionally, the risk response strategies should be continually monitored and adjusted as necessary, because if we feel that our risk control or monitoring response strategy is not being very effective, then we have to change our strategies or make some updates or amendments to these strategies. So here we would stop, and thank you for being attentive, and see you soon in the next lecture or tutorial. For similar material, please subscribe to my channel on YouTube and follow me on Facebook and other social media. Your feedback and comments are very crucial and of help to me. Thank you very much, and see you soon. Bye bye.